working systems are critical to a business, even if it's a one-man business. And I'm looking at Curtis because Curtis caught my attention because actually Michael Gerber wrote a book called The E-Myth Contractor, which is specifically designed for you. And I'm sure it's at the local big bookstore, whoever, or it's certainly on Amazon. So it's the E-Myth Contractor. And it's really not much different than the regular E-Myth, but it is focused to contractors. And he deals exactly with your kind of contracting firm, a general contracting firm that's small. Yeah, absolutely. In addition, it has proven stability. That means it has long-term track record somehow, or it has employees that are going to stay. If you are the only employee of your business, it really didn't have much value, because that means everything walks out the day you walk out. I mean, pretty much. It has to have good books and records, that goes without saying. And if you're trying to sell it, the terms are everything, not the price. This is not so much true of housing. Housing is usually financed by third parties, or at least it was in the past. It still is, I think. And so the financing is not done usually by the owner. And in business, it is. So that makes all the difference in the world. You get to control the terms. It's not usually the local bank's terms. Now, there are SBA loans and all, but those are for larger businesses than just one-up businesses or small solopreneurs. But let me talk about the promise, because it's the promise that is a critical thing. Developing your promise, developing that big idea. And the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what are you going to promise yourself? What is it that you want in this business? What do you want to accomplish? What is a better life for you? And then, and only then, after you figure out what you're going to promise yourself, is what are you going to promise your clients and customers? What is it that you're holding out that makes you different? If you're not holding out something that makes you different, I think you're in serious trouble, because this world is so interconnected now, and you're competing globally, and you're competing with the net, the web, that for services, that you have to make yourself different in somehow. And I want to tell you what I think is the big secret for that. I think the big secret for that is two things. Number one, focus on your potential customer or client frustrations. One thing I learned over 30 years of business brokerage is that you can't really solve people's problems. No matter how much you try, their problems are always going to be their problems. You can try to get in, and I've learned as a coach, the best thing I can do as a coach is to listen to people, ask strong questions, ask relevant questions, and guide them through their own thinking process. And you know what? That's actually the best sales technique. And anybody in sales knows that. The best sales technique is to ask questions and listen, not to give the elevator pitch. I mean, yeah, when you're asked to give an elevator pitch, like you kind of are at the meetings that you go to in networking, then that's fine. You know, say your elevator pitch and all that. But people aren't really going to ask you to spout your elevator pitch in public very often. I mean, that's a rare request, and it's getting rarer and rarer. They don't even want to hear it. No, I don't even. The best answer when people say, are you all familiar with elevator pitches? Am I using the right term that you know what I'm talking about? The little 20-second thing you're supposed to say, while the elevator's going down, when somebody says, what do you do? The best response to what do you do is to smile at them and say, why don't you go first? What do you do? Now you've turned it into a question, and you're going to learn something. If you just start spouting, I'm a roofer, I do this, I'm a piano teacher, I do this, you just blew it. They just gloss right over, and you say goodbye, thank you, and they walk out of the elevator and get the hell away from you as fast as they can. Especially if you're really good at that elevator pitch, because it really sounds canned when you are. So what you really need to do is ask them what they do, and let them go first. And or make a joke out of it and say, what do you think I do? Guess, or have some other conversation besides what you do, please. And get their name, get their story and their name and follow up. That's the best way. That's your best elevator pitch. But in developing your promise has to go really deep, and the first thing is the coaching style of responding to the frustrations of your market. You can't solve those problems that people have, but you can address their frustrations. And you need to figure out what frustrates them about your service. What is it that they really find frustrating? And you all know that if you've been in business long enough. You know exactly what's wrong with what you do. And you sometimes you sit there and say, geez, I don't think I can do anything about this. Well, think again. You always can do something about it. And let me tell you where the secret is. I'm kind of abandoning my notes at this point because I want to go to questions when I'm done. Let me tell you what the secret is. The secret is your own personal story. Everybody can be a piano teacher if they really want to be, but nobody can be April. That's special to somebody. Hopefully it's special to a whole bunch of people. But seriously, Blake, people come here as much because of you probably. They could go anywhere. There's lots and lots of nutrition stores all over the Denver area. Why would they come here? Why did she come here? Why is she your customer? Well, she's your customer because she's met you. Now you're Blake. It's better, right, that he's Blake. I mean, it's like you come in and say, Blake, I got this problem. I don't know what to do about this. What do you think? It's not like, you don't do that at GNC in Denver. You don't walk in and talk to a stranger and say, this is my really personal problem. What do you think? But you might to Blake. I don't know your relationship, so I shouldn't say that. Maybe Blake is a total doofus. I don't know. But what makes your business different at the solopreneur level is you. And that applies to people that are not necessarily on their own. That applies to people that work for big insurance companies or big financial institutions or something. The big deal is not the financial institution or the insurance company you work for. The big deal is you. And you have to develop your personal brand. Now, that kind of scary stuff, personal branding. Personal branding goes way off track if you don't know who you are. You know, personal branding is for grown-ups. And if you aren't grown up, if you haven't figured out who the hell you are, you can't personal brand right. You can't. You have to know who you are. And that comes with age, unfortunately. It is not something you can just magically happen. But you need to focus on personal growth as the major focus. But the keys to finding out and developing your promise is to figure out who you are and to listen to others' frustrations and address those frustrations. Now, how do you address those frustrations in a promise? You do that by doing something that transforms their experience of having you do business with them. What is it that they are frustrated about, and how can you apply your human story to that? How does April, I'm just picking April because I'm looking straight at her here. How does April become unique as a piano teacher? And I think you said some of the things when I listened to your introduction. It sounded like you were pretty unique. Run with that uniqueness. Make sure you personalize. Do you have a website? Okay. Is your picture on your website?
Yes.
Is it a good picture?
Well, I've debated about
No,
that.
you said the wrong thing. No, it's not a good picture, April.
Define a good picture.
Yeah.
It's a good picture. Well, you have to have somebody. You can't define your own good picture. Let me say that. You have to have somebody else tell you it's a good picture, because you're never going to like yourself. I mean, most people don't. Most people look at their own picture and go, ugh. Or they make the wrong judgment about what their good picture is, because they don't know. They don't see it from that side. You need to have a friend or a colleague and a few strangers too say, "Oh no, that's the best picture of you right there." A good picture captures your personality, and if you are an executioner, you don't need to smile. But if you're a realtor or if you're a salesman of any kind, it needs to really probably be a smile. And it can't be cute and clever in a way that your market doesn't understand. You know, you can play some licensing, but most of you are in occupations that people need you to take seriously. And they want to trust you. Well, you know, the old thing, I'm sure you've all heard this, or maybe you haven't. People have to know you first. They have to know that you're there. That's visibility. Then they have to find you. Then they how do they know me? No, then they have to like you. They know you, then they have to learn to like you. Today, they're not waiting to meet you to decide whether they like you or not. They're going on your Facebook, they're going on your LinkedIn, they're going on your website, and they're going to look at your picture and they're going to say, do I like that person? And they're going to make a snap judgment like we all do when we see things, because most of us are visual, right? So they're going to decide whether they like you or not. Then they're going to decide if they trust you or not. And sometimes they're going to read the stuff you have on the internet, watch your videos if you have videos there, or do something, and they say, do I trust this person? Because they don't trust you, they may never call you. It used to be people had to meet you to decide whether they liked you and trust you. Think again. The contractor, the competitor of yours who's on the internet with their picture and their life story and a blog or some discussion going on in groups that they belong to, they're developing people that like them that have never met them. How many of you in this room know somebody on the internet that you have never met but you like? No? Nobody but me? I was just talking with my videographer about the Brian Chambliss. By the way, that's Brian Chambliss. I should do a plug for him. What's your business name?
Plugged In Productions.
Plugged In Productions. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he does. No, I'm just kidding. He's got a lot of experience at this. But I was just talking with him this morning about this, and we were both saying we know people on the internet that we actually have relationships with that we've never met because we're active on both of us are active on the internet. And that's the miracle of our times is that's happening. The bad news for people who are not on the internet is that it ain't happening to you if you're not on the internet. And that's what you have to get going, is they have to know you, like you, and trust you sometimes before they even have that first appointment with you. And that's internet connectivity, that's networking that Sally was talking about, networking. And that's networking in your local area if your market is local. But if your market is a little bit broader than local, you've got to network on the internet. And even for your local people, you have to market on the internet because they want to know you count. Okay, they met you at a chamber meeting. They met you at the networking meeting. But if they go to your website and you look like you don't know what you're doing, or you're writing stuff that doesn't sound good and your picture looks terrible, they just got a negative impression and it's ruined what your good impressions already happened. So it has to be consistent. So when I say develop a promise, most people think, well, I have to have a slogan. I have to have a logo. I have to have a brand name. Not so much. Your brand name is you, especially in a small business. It's Curtis. People aren't going to hire just any old person. If they hire you, it's because they like you. That's why they hire you. If they hire people to be financial advisors or buy insurance from, they hire you because they like you. When I got here, one of the very few, I had to do my automobile insurance over again because I had it with Maine. And I knew Ronnie Bush, who's in Fort Collins but lives in this area somewhere. Ronnie Bush went to high school with me and I was just at a reunion with him. Ronnie Bush's State Farm Insurance, which is probably not even the best car insurance you can buy. I don't know. I don't really care. So who did I buy it from? I bought it from Ronnie Bush. He's in Fort Collins, I'm in Denver. I didn't go down to local in Denver. I knew Ronnie Bush from the internet first, and then I remember him from high school, but I wasn't his friend in high school. We're seeing a real change in what works. And so developing your promise is working with your own personal style and telegraph that in everything you do. Make sure you have a good professional picture. Contact a professional photographer in your area and get a good picture. It's worth it. It's worth it. If you don't do that, you're making a big mistake because you've got to have that on your website.